In 1979, two lads in County Longford built a wall of death after seeing one in an Elvis film, accidentally confirming that people do imitate what they see in the movies. They give a very Catholic interview on national television, mumbling guiltily while looking at their own feet. Someone, somewhere, sees this 4-minute segment and thinks, this should be a film. And whether or not you agree, it became one in 1986, and it was called Eat the Peach. And today we're going to see how they managed to turn that odd local news item into a 69-minute don't and 24-second feature. Now look, I don't want to give you the impression that I obsess over inaccurate runtimes on DVD boxes. I don't. But this caught my eye because I'd never seen seconds being specified like this. And the twist is the film is 90 minutes long, so anyone who was looking at this thinking, right, I've got 69 minutes and 24 seconds before I need to collect Declan from the airport is going to be sorely disappointed. But not as disappointed as Declan. Have you seen how much the bus from the airport costs these days? Still, it's nice to see Declan actually put his hand in his pocket for once. The tight git. Anyway, the film starts with Vinny cutting about on a bike, and all you can think is, someone should invent a tractor that's like a tank, but also a little old cottage, and then bam, there it is. Wake up folks, it's Howl's moving shed. Isn't Ireland beautiful though? Flat muck from Dublin to Galway. This is all the Brits left us. This land used to look like El Dorado. The nearby non-specific Japanese business is shutting down, so Vinny and his friends Arthur and Bunzo lose their non-specific jobs. They drown their sorrows with Smithix and sumo wrestling until it's time for Bunzo to return to Japan. The helicopter is over its weight safety limit, so Bunzo has to choose between taking his video player home or his daughter.
Hey! The video!
No, for you.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's a present from Japanese people.
And they say men don't know how to show emotion. Of course they can, they just need to be under deadly rotating blades to do it. They can also hug as long as there is a sandwiched VHS player between them to act as a buffer. They set up the video at the local pub instead of at home since they spend more time there than with their families. Nuala sticks on a film and sure enough, it's that Elvis film, Roustabout. Thankfully, it inspires Vinny to build a wall of death instead of inspiring him to kiss girls without permission. We then get our first Pat Kenny jump scare. They haven't got enough money for the wood they need, so they settle for a 3-wheel ATV going in a circle. It's safer, but it doesn't draw a crowd. Looks like they'll have to build the wall after all. Who are these guys? Joe Biden? I honestly love this scene because Eamon Morrissey really is sitting on a rickety contraption fashioned out of an old cement mixer and a kitchen chair while holding his scales in order to calculate G-force. This is what gets people into cinemas, not a big purple computer man, a real man spinning. Check out the budget on this pub quiz. Maybe this is what all pub quizzes looked like before cheaters with mobile phones ruined everything. Isn't that right, Stephen? Off to the jacks to take another piss, are you? Someone's got a small bladder this evening. As if you knew how tall the spire is. As if! As soon as construction begins, Vinny's family leave him because it's a film. This should be causing Vinny to have doubts, but instead we get a montage of him and Arthur just having a laugh. But they still need money for wood, so they talk to Boots the cowboy, who gets them a smuggling job for Joe Lynch, who wants them to bring a tanker's worth of bulk milk across the border. Bulk milk, that's got to be a fetish thing, right? The job done, Joe stands triumphant in front of his stately home. This shot truly encapsulates the dream, doesn't it? I think I'll set this as my wallpaper to remind me what it's all for.
Did you put sugar in this? Oh, sorry.
Now, some people consider the "did you put sugar in this" scene superfluous, but actually, this is the moment where we establish which of these men is the uke and which is the seme. Despite some contrived roadblocks, the wall of death is coming together. And Vinny's wife returns, not thanks to any major effort on his part, and Boots becomes their manager. They try the Wall of Death and, yes, success. Everything has worked out perfectly. So they celebrate with a few Denny's Gold and by driving the motorbike through the house before heading to bed for exactly one shag. Oh Christ, the bike is pissing petrol right in front of an unattended super Sare. Try explaining to Gen Z how often we had to deal with the house fires caused by motorbikes left next to portable indoor heaters. It's the one vibe they'll simply never understand. Anyway, the house actually fucking explodes, so the film isn't over yet. Sit the hell down. Boots knows some jackeens up in the big smoke who might be willing to put the Wall of Death on television, as if there was strong competition. You know what was getting coverage on RTE in 1986? A man making wooden arse cradles for shite catchers.
The idea first came to me about 2 years ago, and I put in an antique tile seat that came from England for an aunt of mine. And I thought, I haven't seen any made here.
The smuggling continues, and this time they sneak a load of vodka across the border by pretending to be pig farmers. The policeman recognises the sound of his own and lets them through. Listen, before we continue, I just want to make several clarifications concerning that pig joke. I only made it to gain the trust of the loony left. I will then use that trust to infiltrate their ranks and destroy them from within by saying, "But who's going to pay for it?" in response to everything they propose. I have nothing but respect for all police everywhere, so please keep me and my belongings safe. Please, I'll do anything for just a crumb of your protection. I'll rat out anybody. There's this one guy, Stephen. Ask him how tall the spire is without letting him see his phone. You'll see, he's not able. The tractor breaks down on their next smuggling job, so they have to share the ATV, possibly the most dangerous stunt in this film. They go looking for help in a Northern Irish pub? Never mind, this is the most dangerous stunt in the film. What you have to remember is, back then, you couldn't leave any vehicle unattended for over 20 minutes without the army blowing it up. As if the IRA hijinks weren't enough to bring a smile to the faces of the international audience, the paddywhackery goes off the charts as our heroes, who are enjoying a few bottles of Guinness on the road, witness a high-speed chase that results in a load of loose sheep distracting authorities long enough for them to sneak a bootful of booze over the border line. All this happens as diddly-eye music is played, and the stunt coordinator was a banshee. Right, it's finally time to use the Wall of Death in front of an audience, even if the TV people haven't shown up. All that's left to do is to get a blessing from a priest and the original lineup of Aslan. Once the show begins, delight quickly turns to terror as the entire structure begins to wobble like your dad getting into a hot bath. Scared for their lives, the audience flee to the pub where they can die in a much slower and less dramatic way. And then who decides to finally show up? Pat Kenny. He gets all the shots he needs without getting a speck of mud on his trousers. The film's budget had limitations after all. He heads off again, but not before offering Nuala a lift. "Hello Nuala, come back to Dalkey with me. I'll show you where I convinced the council not to build a nursing home." Vinny appears on national television and, true to the original broadcast that inspired the film, he has no good answer to the question, but why? He tells the entire country his phone number and says, "Give me a shout if you're interested in the Wall of Death," and doesn't receive a single call. Not even a prank call. Not even one lonely farmer calling to ask what kind of wood they used. Oh, that's grim. So he goes and does what any of us would do after putting out a banger tweet that doesn't get enough likes. He destroys it. If the world turns its back on you, turn your back on the world with a cleansing fire. Believe it or not, he even leaves the bike in there. That's two he's blown up now. I can't say I understand his motivation, but hey, they built the thing for no reason, they can destroy it for no reason too. That's probably how God feels about the apocalypse. Well, but don't worry, that's probably miles off yet. Now that the Wall of Death is a smouldering crater, the lads decide to grow tomatoes instead. Which isn't a particularly exciting hook for a sequel, is it? Unless they were also building a homemade helicopter? I don't think I'd be too eager to get into a homemade helicopter built by a man who will blow it up if he feels it's not appreciated enough. Anyway, that's the end of the film. But what's the verdict? Well, I have to disagree with this Amazon review calling it the worst movie of all time, because it's not. I mean, I'd rather watch Gremlins 2, but that seems like a strange bar to set. I am a bit of a sucker for stories where, against all reason, someone just goes ahead and follows some daft notion through to the end, and the film itself feels like that. Like those lads who saw Roustabout and felt that spark that resulted in a wall of death, the people behind this saw that interview and felt a spark that resulted in a whole film being made. And then I saw the film and felt inspired to make this vastly less impressive video. Maybe my video will spark someone into making themselves a nice dinner. Culture begets culture. You're welcome. But why was it called Eat the Peach? Well, you know, arses or something.